Okay, so I just wanted to run through some time management tips. This was on my mind last week, and it's all going to sound very basic, and it's also going to be a lot of stuff that you will hear coach after coach after coach tell you. So, the sooner that you can implement those things for yourself, because I know a lot of them, I was like, oh, I don't really need to do that, or, and guess what? Like now I'm doing them. And if you are, no matter what, whether you are trying to build this as an explosive business, or if you're just trying to sign up one person a month and be a hobby coach, it doesn't matter what of those goals it is. No matter what, these things are going to help you, because some of us are like stay-at-home moms, some of us have other jobs, so we're all in different places, but we're all busy, and we all, like being organized and having some little time management tips. I don't even know if you call that, but anyway, that's kind of what's going to help you. So I just kind of made a list. These are in no specific order. It was just me jotting them down, and I'll just kind of talk about what I do. And again, that doesn't mean that it's perfect or right or the right thing for you. So you just take all these calls and use the parts that are going to help you, that are working for you. So the very first one that I said was find a planner, get a planner or a calendar. And this was the first year that I actually had like a real one. In the past, I think I just used, like at Walmart, you can find like those desk calendars, with just the calendar on it. But even just having the calendar is going to help, like with when we have these launches, if we're all coordinating our challenge group, when that's going to start, or I don't know, there's like all kinds of things. But as simple as that sounds, having that calendar, or even the one that hangs on your wall or on your phone, whatever that you're going to see and utilize the most. So I did want to show you this planner. There's obviously all different kinds that you can find, like at any store or online on Amazon. Next year I'll be using a different one just because I got it as a gift. So I haven't looked into it too much. So this one is a little bit bigger. I don't know if that's necessarily necessary, but it does have like a whole calendar in there, plus the day-to-day. And so this one is actually really cool because it breaks it down by hour. And I just turned to something random. So this is just kind of like the first tip, if this kind of thing would help you, especially if you have other jobs or your kids, like a lot of our kids are doing school at home. So like if you need to keep track of like when is their next Zoom meeting, and then when can I squeeze in follow-ups while they're doing that, or something like that, the hourly list really helps. You can also get a piece of notebook paper and write that down every day, or type it on your computer. So it doesn't have to cost money. It doesn't have to be fancy. But I highly suggest that. And I happened to turn to one where I was like really into that, and that was helping me. Right now, let me show you. Probably like the whole month of November, I basically wrote nothing because our schedule like did not change. We were home, like I had it in my head. I didn't take the time to write it down. But especially when you're trying to develop your own schedule, that is going to be really beneficial and really important. So, and I feel like I'm probably going to end up getting off. So let me just stick with that. So first off, find a planner or a calendar. Okay, that's the first tip. My second tip is set daily minimum requirements that you want to send that will help you to hit your goals. So, and what I mean by that is like, how many people are you going to add every day? Like, don't leave it up to chance and don't be random about it. You can always do more than that, but set a minimum. And my minimums have changed throughout the years, but I didn't used to do that. I used to just do how many seemed to be there. And if you set that number, I promise you, every day you will be able to find enough people to fill that number of invites. Like occasionally, okay, occasionally there's a day that you just really don't find that many. But for instance, even this year when I started doing the kids' virtual school at home, I was like so overwhelmed. And I'm like, I don't know when I'm going to work because I have to do school for like 4 hours now with the kids, like totally focused. And I didn't know what I was going to do. So I set my goals so small. Well, for me at the time, because I've been doing a lot more than that, I just said, I'm only going to do 10 conversations and 10 invites. Now, if you're new, that might feel like a lot. So set your number to a number that you know you can do. You know that you can keep consistent, and that will kind of push you to make sure that you are doing enough to get whatever your goal is, okay? So if your goal is 3 people a month, and like there's no magic number, you kind of have to play around with that. But in some months, it just takes more invites to get enough people in to sign up. So there's no exact magic number, but you set that minimum requirement and then you stick to it. So then that kind of leads me, I don't know, did I write that down? I'm going to skip to where I said, I also didn't do this for a very long time, but this is in our training section in Team Radiance. This is in your coach office. It's the Success Club System Business Activity Tracker. Okay, you can print it off. Again, you could just use the checklist, like you could read it online and just check off like check marks in your head or on a piece of paper, like if you don't have a printer or if you don't want to print it. There's different ways around that too, where you can make your own. But I highly suggest using that as your guide. And then on that, like it has a blank for like how many people to invite. I don't know, I'm sure you can't see that, but write your minimum in. It says 5 in parentheses. 5 should be a minimum. And then, if your goals are a little bit bigger, like wanting to hit Success Club 10 or whatever, it doesn't even matter. Increase that number of invites, increase the number of new friend requests or follow requests that you're sending, and then also how many new conversations you're sending. So those minimum requirements, and then using the business activity tracker to keep track of that. And like if you have, like I said, like you could write it down. That's what I did for a really long time. I did not print this off, but it does have some specifics for my story that I want to include every day that I wasn't. And so I like that reminder, because even though it's easy to remember, it's like, where else is my brain? Like I have kids, I have school, I gotta cook, I gotta do laundry, I have all this stuff. And so at the end of the day, like I don't know what I put on my story. And we obviously don't have to be perfect at that list, but it's a really good guide to keep us consistent with those things. And I think I found, because I really started doing this just maybe in like July or August. I don't remember when I started like printing the tracker. That's kind of embarrassing to say that it took me that long to use it. Use it. It's so easy. But because I used to just write it down in my planner and then I would check it off. But when you have to like really check that off, and we could even do a thread in Team Radiance to like show us your tracker every day if you wanted. That would be actually helpful for me too. I have to show it in a group once a week, or we could do it that way too. But that way, that someone, if you want to be held accountable to get those check marks in, like that's a really great way. So I lost my train of thought, what I was saying. Oh, but I used to not use the tracker. But some of those story things are helpful to just give my little reminder. Like, did I show a healthy food? Like it's kind of showing balance, daily life, healthy food. Did we show some kind of product, whether it's a shake or Energize or Beachbody On Demand or something like that? There's a list there. You'll see it on the tracker. Okay. So the next thing that is really important to think about and to figure out is what time of day do you work best? What time of day do you feel most energetic, most focused? Maybe it's not necessarily you, but maybe you have kids running around the house. What time of day are they not running around the house? Maybe that's never, but for me right now, I have to get up at 4 a.m. And even though it kind of sucks, it has actually been more productive in less time because I'm alone, it's quiet, and honestly, most people don't answer their messages right away, which is actually nice because I have less distraction. I can just pop out all my messages and then be done and answer them later in the day. So think about what time, like I know Brianna is a night owl. She's made that very clear. And I don't know what time her babies go to bed. Like there's different things that come into play. And, is this something that will upset your husband, or like will that affect the time that you spend with that or your family? Find out that best time that both you're most energized, focused, and that kind of is going to work with your family. And that time might change could change over and over in the course of your coaching. Mine certainly has. When I first started, I had to do it during nap time. Or did my kids take a nap? I don't know. They stopped taking a nap at like 2 years old, which was terrible. But so it was either nap time, either Rory was taking a nap or they were watching a movie. And so as soon as that happened, as soon as we put that movie in, I dropped everything. And it was really hard at first because I am one that I like to keep everything tidy, and I don't want to leave the dishes in the sink, and I knew the floor needs swept, and that used to be my time to get that kind of stuff done. So I had to shift my thinking to be like, this is the only time that I have to devote to this right now. Okay, it didn't have to be a lot of time, and I didn't even sit there for like 2 hours. It was probably an hour or less. And honestly, at the time, I didn't even know what I was doing. So I'm sure I wasted a lot of time too. So if you have no idea what to do, we have Power Hour videos that would help a lot. That I never had that. I don't know why, but we didn't. So, okay. So it might change because like I said, now I don't have that midday break. They don't sit down and take a movie now. They're running around crazy asking me for snacks every half hour. So 5 a.m. sounds pretty nice. So, okay. And I kind of did just say this, but I had, your schedule may change, or like your kids get a different age or whatever, but you have to try different ways sometimes to see what feels best if you're not sure. Even when we started school, like I knew I was going to get up at 4 and I made that decision, but it still probably took me like, I would say a few weeks or a month, which feels like a long time. And it was kind of crazy while I was trying to figure it out. But I had to figure out which order of things to do things that I was the most productive and got the most done. And so when I first started, I always read my personal development first, okay? Always. And I try really hard to not open my phone and look at messages until that's done. Sometimes I don't do that so well. It's tricky when you're taking a picture for Instagram and then there's like all your messages. So try to not touch them. Take care of yourself first and feel yourself first. And then when I was trying to figure out my schedule, I would do that. I don't even know what I did. I think I worked out next and then showered and then worked. But then I realized it was actually cutting off my work time, because then it's like a hit or miss what time the kids are going to wake up. So then they were waking up between 6, 7. So that might have messed up my whole work time depending on the day. So it took me some time to be like, I can work out later. I'm not worried about getting my workout done because I always do that. So I'm more worried about getting my work done because that's going to pay our bills. I mean, my husband pays the bills, but you know what I mean? Like that is the goal that I'm working on right now. So eventually I figured it out to where I had the maximum amount of time to work. And I actually became more productive in the past few months than I was like all summer when they had nothing to do. And not nothing, but I had a lot more time on my hands. And the more time that you have, the more time that you just end up wasting. So time is not always an issue. It's really just how focused that we stay and making sure that we're doing the important tasks first. So when I start working at 5 o'clock in the morning, I go straight to inviting and new conversations. And sometimes it's all inviting and then new, kind of depends on the order of how I did things. And then if I have time, I add. Or like if I have to go to the bathroom during that time, I take my phone and I add followers. That's TMI, but that's the truth. And that's how you got to do it when you're really busy. And so then, especially when you send those new follow requests and then they trickle in during the day, then you can run in and send another new conversation. Copy and paste it from the last one. You don't have to think of something new. It can be the same thing every time. And for mine, if you want an example, I literally say, hey, thanks so much for the follow. It's nice to meet you. Where are you from? Every time. Easy. I know it by heart now. I can type it without even looking. And then, like I said, you can copy paste. So I always do those actions first, inviting and new conversations. And then the adding can be done at any time in the day. And you don't have to do all of this in 1 hour. Let me see where I'm at. Yeah, because we say power hour, but a lot of us might not have a whole hour or 2 hours to sit down and work right now. So you can call them power pockets, okay? And this is also really helpful if you write down the hours of the day if you're doing power pockets. Because when you come up, this is how I think of school. I come up for air and I'm like, okay, like what do I need to do? That's how I feel. So if you have those little slots filled out, like, okay, from like 8 to 8:10, I'm going to go add for 10 minutes on Instagram or Facebook. And then you just pencil that in. Okay, well, the kids have this Zoom time that I don't have to teach them right now. So I can go do my follow-up list really quick. Like you can fit it in throughout your day. You just got to think about it and be intentional. And that's where that planner will really come in handy if you need that schedule helping you. Okay. Now, the other thing that I was told this all my years and I never did it was take off your notification sounds on Messenger, on Instagram. And now, you guys, I'm telling you that I only just did it like a few months ago. And it has been the most freeing feeling in the world because all those years I'm running to my phone. I'm so excited. Like, yeah, we're really excited to talk to people. We really want to sign people up. But what was happening, especially when I first started, was that my family went out the window. I like never got dinner done. You know, I was just like all over the place, not being productive in any area because I was just like, as soon as my phone dinged, I was running over to see who it was, to answer that message. And it took me a while to where I could just like leave it on vibrate or something, but then like you might miss your actual phone calls from your family or something like that. So finally this summer, I've been hearing this advice for so long, and I had finally taken it off of, if any of you work on the computer or on your phone, like you can mute the notifications from like Messenger so that it pops up and you see the number, but you can't hear it. So I finally did that. And then finally this summer, I was like, I have to make this change because that sound was actually like causing stress in me because I'd be cooking dinner and I wouldn't go answer it, but I knew it was there and I was just kind of getting like, ah. So you can actually take the numbers off, like take the notification, how many messages you have off, and then only check it when you go into Facebook and see. I wasn't that brave yet. That's the goal eventually. But I did take the sounds off. And I thought for now, honestly, I thought that was okay because that way I can just, if I am busy cooking dinner or something, I can click my phone, see if there's a number. Like if you are expecting somebody to sign up or you're waiting to hear back from somebody, that is really helpful because then you can just see the number. I can open it. If it's not that person, even though I have a message, don't answer it right now. You don't have time. And that's okay. Like you don't have to answer everything right away. And so my other tip with that is that it's also healthy, okay, and like I would highly recommend setting, they say like set your work hours, which I guess I kind of do, but I also answer messages a lot throughout the day. And so that's kind of tricky just depending on like if you're home or whatever, depending on your schedule. Like sometimes you just do what you have to do and that's okay too. But try maybe instead of setting exact work hours, set some hours that are offline hours or like no phone hours or unplug, whatever you want to call it, so that you are productive in those other areas at home or at your job or with your family. And you'll be surprised that you become more productive and everything's okay if you missed a message for a couple hours. And I still struggle with this. Like, honestly, this past week, I'll be very honest here. Like, I've had a lot of anxiety and kind of going through like some depression feeling right now. And I don't know if it's just like the season. It's really dark and gloomy here. It doesn't matter what it is. But I've noticed that when I am lower like that, I tend to just like check my phone. Like I need somebody to sign up or I need like a good feeling, you know? And I was consciously thinking of that while I was writing this and I'm like, oh my word, I can't teach this and then be like, I've been on my phone so much. So find a way to set in some of those like no phone times. And for me, that time is usually kind of that afternoon time when I'm making dinner, usually really dinner through like kids, like book time, bedtime is a good no phone time. And then you can come back. So I'll come back at like 7:00, wrap everything up, answer messages, keep my phone till about 8. And then if I'm doing good that day, I'll come upstairs and put it in the bedroom and leave it till I go to bed at 9. So that I do have a break from it. I can be present like with my husband for a little bit and with the kids for a little bit. Because like I said, when I first started, I was excited, but it caused some issues with my husband because I was just like always on my phone. And it doesn't need to be like that. So, because if you were running a real business, you would be at work and then you would come home. And that's the beauty and the tricky part with this job, because we can be on all the time, but we don't need to be. And the sooner that you can train yourself to do that, the better and the healthier, and the more that that's going to help your family and your productivity everywhere else too. So let me see, I think I'm actually almost done. So offline hours, the last thing, because I did those two, no. So 2 more, you can use timers. So I was talking about setting those minimum requirements for inviting and that kind of stuff. I know some coaches who actually just set a timer. And so instead of, I don't know if I'd suggest that just for inviting, but for adding, if you don't have a certain number, or for engaging on people's posts, like commenting or watching their stories and commenting on their stories, that's something that is important to do, but it's something that can suck us in. So we don't want to do it for a long time. So set like a 10 or 15 minute timer to do that for the people that are watching your stories or liking your posts or something. So take a little bit of time, but then stop when the timer is done so that you don't get drawn into wasting a lot of time scrolling. Excuse me. And then the other thing is, as simple as this sounds, we can use our phone alarms to like tell us it's time to do follow-ups, it's time to add, it's time to check in with the challenge group, like those kind of things. set those alarms, and they can be on every day for the same times, especially if you're not good. Like sometimes I'll like write it all out pretty in the planner, and then I never look at the planner. So if you do that, set an alarm, set a timer, do something, or have it. I actually, a lot of times I have this little chalkboard in my kitchen, and I'll actually write like stuff up there. Like I said, when I come up for air from school, to be like, okay, what do I need to do? Oh yeah, I need to get through that follow-up list or whatever. So keep in mind that. Also, alarms are great, like for these team calls. You know, if you see like this call or Dare to Dream or the National Wake Up Call, even though we know the times, like, because I know for me, I've missed so many calls because like I remembered like the day before, and then when the actual day came, and then like the whole house is chaotic and I don't know what's happening, then you forget it and you miss it. And so those alarms are really helpful for that too. And then the last thing that I kind of hit on just a second ago was when we get on social media, we're learning to use it as a tool for our business, not just as like a pastime or entertainment. So we don't want to get sucked into scrolling. And this is a hard thing because that's how we started using Instagram or Facebook, right? I mean, that's just like a natural thing. People just scroll, they look at all the posts. That's what it's for, basically. But if we're on a time crunch and like this is the time that we need to be building our business now, because scrolling isn't going to make us money. Doing these intentional activities is what is going to help us find people to make money. So if we're scrolling, and sometimes I still get sucked into it, and all of a sudden I'll be like, whoa, like what was I even doing? Like 15 minutes have passed by now. So it takes that really intentional focus to do this sometimes, and a lot of discipline to stay on task of what you're supposed to be doing. And again, sometimes that's good. That's why the timers are good. So that as soon as it's up, you just move on to the next thing. And actually, I think the business activity tracker has a suggested time in parentheses. You'll see it that you can set. And I never have, because I have those number requirements that I want to do. So I just make sure I do those. But you could follow the timers on those, and that would be helpful too. So I just said, do not scroll, be efficient. And sometimes that at 5 a.m, a lot lately, honestly, I have sat down and I don't feel like working. I love this job. I love the rewards, and I love like these people, and I love all of that, but it's still a job, like, because I'm making it a job. And so there's still going to be days, like just like having your kids, like you don't always want to be around your kids. It's kind of the same thing. So I have to sit down and like, you can say affirmations to yourself. You can read through your why, read through your goals, all of those things, or even write them out every day. It does take a minute longer, but it's going to help you reset your focus every single day to remind yourself why you're doing this. It's going to help you come across more passionate and happy and energetic when you're sending those messages, because people can feel that, as weird as that sounds. Even though we're typing the same words every day, they can feel your energy, feel your confidence. I'm almost done. And so the more that you can just sit down and remind yourself what you're doing and just stay focused on task, and this is all the time I have to do this. This is important. Give yourself some scroll time later on in the day as a reward or something. If you got everything done, you can think of that. But yeah, so hopefully that helped. And I didn't get a picture before Crystal was gone. I should have snagged one. I'll have to have one of you guys start taking a picture for me. Okay, I'm gonna take one. Do you know she just had to go, Brianna? Oh, she's muted. Okay. I'm gonna do it again. That was kind of blurry or something. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
Okay. Bummer. Tell her I'm sorry I missed her. Oh,